Hey, welcome to another video. It's Ford and back, and I'm on the V14 because it's wet, and yeah, this wheel's going to handle that. So lately here I've been rolling around every day, and for the last couple of weeks it's just been really horrible weather, and I keep getting caught in some pretty big downpours, or I have to go out and, you know, be ready for that downpour because this is my vehicle and this is what I chose as my weapon to commute with. And you know, I guess there's a couple of tips that I thought I'd chat today about that might make your little wet weather commute a little bit more comfortable. 10 minutes, I'll have a bit of a roll in the wet. So thanks for coming. Let's go and do this. So this is the INMOTION V14, this wheel that I'm on, and this is a weather rated wheel, so it's really well suited to cop some water, and that's really important to have a wheel that can do that. You know, I need that in my collection where I live here, daily storm type situation, and you need something that's going to handle that when it comes down. But I think this is the wheel if you know you're really going to be out battling the elements to pick up and roll with. So I think, you know, something you really need to consider first of all is if your wheel's going to handle the weather and what kind of rating it has. If you don't know, it's best to avoid the rain. So, you know, the V14, that was a big consideration I picked this wheel, was for the weather and being able to use it when I need to roll in the wet. So yeah, I have confidence that this wheel's not going to cut out or cop any damage from rolling in the rain.
I'll make it loud.
So if you've got the right wheel and it can handle the weather, I don't think you should be that afraid of the wet. You know, if you're going to be commuting especially, and you know one day you might get caught in it, it's probably a good idea to just get out and do a couple of practice sessions in some light rain, or if you see a little bit of a shower, find a quiet place like a car park and just try to get your confidence up. Start slow and roll around. I think you'll see that you've got a lot more grip than you think, and you know, the wheel handles pretty well actually. It's just a couple of different habits that you can change, or things that you can look at that might make your ride a little more safe or make you feel a little more controlled. So yeah, I'm just going to run through a couple of little tips today, probably a bit more basic kind of stuff, but maybe you haven't thought about it, maybe it'll help you out, maybe you're just getting into EUCs, and any tips help. You know, sometimes you just get caught in it and you don't really have all the right gear on. I'm kind of like that now. I've got a coat that's a little bit weatherproof, you know, I've got a full-faced helmet, so that helped, but my pants, you know, I don't have my wet weather pants on, so they're going to get a little bit moist. But you need to think about what gear you've got, and if you're going to do a long commute, you need to probably have something in your bag in case, you know, a spare pair of shoes, because they might get wet unless you've got waterproof shoes. Might want some shoe covers, anything that's going to help you, you know, get out of the discomfort. If you're not comfortable, you're not going to be enjoying yourself, you're going to get more fatigued. So you want to make sure that you're feeling okay first, that your wheel can handle the wet weather, that you can handle the wet weather. Before you head out, you've got to make sure that all of your covers are done up on your charge ports, that anything that's open on your wheel that can get into the electronics needs to be covered up. And it's the same for all of your accessories and different gear. You need your headset, mics, your cameras, any of your extra horns and bits that are attached to your wheel. If they're electronic, you need them to be covered up, or else, you know, they're going to cop it as well. So it's not just the wheel that needs to deal with the weather, it's all of your accessories and gear as well. I think the biggest thing that I start to realize when I'm out in the rain on a wheel or my motorbike or car is you just have to be extra observant. You're paying a lot more attention to your conditions and your surrounds and giving things a lot more space. Reaction time is going to be different. Your reaction to the conditions is going to be different. It's a lot more dynamic environment if you're in the rain. There's certain things that happen when, you know, the rain hits the road that you need to be aware of. You can't always really see the road surface depending on whether there's rain, fog, but even just the reflection of the rain sometimes, that gives you a bit of a blindness. You know, you get a bit sun blinded from the reflection, or just the sheen means you can't actually see the road. That can be hiding things, you know, little obstacles you might not see. There might be a manhole cover or a white line or some newly laid tarmac which can be slippy. So, you know, your road condition, you need to slow down to be able to see the road a little better, and you need to be scanning the road a lot more for debris and things that can just wash up and pop up in the rain. You know, there's sticks and mud and slime and all kinds of stuff that starts to be exposed. Oil is another huge thing. If you're starting to roll on the roads, you should give it, you know, 10-20 minutes, I was always told, and that lets the main oil that's just going to pick up and sit and wash. If it's been a dry period, cars are dumping oil, and then when the rain comes, that starts to sit up and float on top of the road surface. So if you hit that, you know, you're going to be off. Absolutely. Look for those little rainbows and try to avoid them. You know, when there's a bit more rain, that oil is just going to wash away a little bit, so it's a little more safe. So yeah, so just on that, just like the oil, you've really got to watch those white lines. And that's not just for your wheel, it's if you step down and put your foot down at the lights when you're commuting. If you hit your foot on a white arrow or something like that that's painted on the ground, you're going to slip and fall over. Just think about trying to avoid all of the manholes and the white lines and the painted road surfaces. Also your paved surfaces and just new tarmac, things that have just been freshly laid. So looking at your different surfaces, you're going to get different traction, and try to pick the surface that's best for your wheel. You know, you want to avoid your dirt and sand and anything like that, anything that's washed out, you know, or your roads that might end up flooded, because you just can't see what's in the floodwater. If you're going into puddles, you really need to consider that you can't see what's in the puddle. There could be obstacles, rocks, manhole, a hole. There might be a reason that there's a puddle there. It's just best to avoid them. And when you're avoiding things in the wet, you really also just don't panic. Don't panic to avoid a manhole or a painted road surface. You need to have all your movements a little slower in the rain, and you need to take your time. So you're probably better off just riding over a manhole cover than panicking and quickly trying to swerve around it. Then you're going to slide out or hit whatever's next to you. So think about your surroundings again and your reaction time, and just scan ahead a lot more and see what's coming up, and give yourself the space to just slowly cruise around it in a slower motion than a big panicking sweep. And that's going to be a lot more of the way you want to ride in the wet anyway, is just slowing all of your reactions down, all of your movements down, and being prepared a lot earlier to make those movements. You might want to consider having a little towel just in your bag. Maybe, I don't know if your visor fogs up or what you're running in your helmet situation, if you've got goggles or glasses. You need your vision to be clear. So I'm using a Shoei helmet, and it's got a anti-fog system basically, and it's called a pin lock system that you can slide inside, and it really does stop the fog. I've also got lots of different vents that I can open in my helmet, and it allows a good airflow, so I can keep myself warm and dry in here, but also keep my visibility up. So you're going to start to get foggy glasses, and your humidity is going to change, and that kind of thing, as well as your fog, rain, any mist that's going to pop up. All of that's going to affect your ability to be able to scan ahead. You've got all the headlights, especially at night, that hit your eyes, and then all those drops of water flare that. So it's just a different way that you need to consider looking and scanning, and it just keeps you so aware. You're a lot more on edge, making sure everything's good, looking all the way around you, and just making sure that you've got your room and it's safe and no one's trying to overtake you and all of this stuff. So you've got to make sure that there's just more distance around you. I think, really try to stay away from other bikers, other wheelers, pedestrians and cars. Double your space. Double the, I don't know if you've heard of the 2-second rule, which is, if you're following a vehicle, you kind of look at where they are, pick a point that they've just passed, and then count 2 seconds in your head. That's a really good idea in the dry, but I think you just need to double or triple that when you're rolling in the wet. You don't need to be that pedantic, but you just need to give yourself space. It's going to take more time to pull up and more time to panic and react. You see everybody start to slow down on the roads, and you need to be ready for them slowing down and driving a little more slow and reactive as well. So those instant brakes, you know, people panic and do things in the wet. And if you're really close, then you're not going to give yourself the time to pull up, and you know you're going to have a crash. So it's all just common sense. I'm sure most of you do this anyway, but if there's a few things that you get out of this video that might help you or that you didn't consider, cool. And please add some more in the comments. If there's anybody that thinks my tips are crap or you've got better, please add them. Help everybody out, you know. It's really cool to be able to make these wheels viable as a everyday commuter for people. And it's not really that bad to roll in this. It's actually still kind of nice. You still got your airflow, so you're drying as you're getting wet. So pop a couple of layers on, you know, put those thermal underpants on. It's really easy to have a cheap set of wet weather roll-ons that you can just pull up, or a full bodysuit. They're really cheap and lightweight. Some of them fit into this small little pouch that you can just clip into your bag, and you've got it there as an emergency. So yeah, do that. Also, any little plastic baggies to just put over your gear and cameras or anything else that you need to protect. I'm rolling with shred lights today just to increase my visibility. I think anything you can do to increase your visibility is a bonus in the rain. So I've got underglow lights on. I've got the huge SL1000 light on the front and SLR1s, as well as my front headlight on for the V14. And I've got the rear lights as well on this V14. This is already a really nice wheel for visibility, but yeah, you just want to consider maybe adding more. Maybe add some to your upper torso or onto your helmet. It's all up to you. You know, the more that you're seen, you got to consider other riders. You know, other people on the roads can't see you as well as you're having all of that trouble to see things. They're having that much trouble to see you as well. So wear your bright clothes and look like a Christmas tree. It just, yeah, it looks cool in the reflections as well. So they're just small things, but they can all add up, and it only takes one small thing to bring you unstuck and you know, give you a bad day. But yeah, when you get home as well, dry your wheel off. I mean, I like to get a leaf blower out. I've always done that with my motorbikes. I just don't like water sitting in places. So I blow it out and give it a good blow job as soon as I get home. Otherwise, just get a towel onto it. And yeah, you know, I find that's a pretty easy thing to do, to just look after the wheel and make sure no rust gathers and the water doesn't pool up in places that you can't see. Give it a while before you charge it. You don't want to charge it as soon as you've come in case there's any moisture in your charge sockets. And yeah, just keep an eye on your wheel after you've ridden in the rain, especially if it's the first time. You might have some bearing noises, things pop up. And if it does, depending on the wheel and your dealer, you might have it all covered under warranty. The only time I ever had any issue related to water, I was covered by E-Riders here in Australia, and they're the most amazing store. So I buy all my wheels from them because they do look after us and they look after things that go wrong. So if you've got a wheel and you're starting to, you know, use it as the manufacturer suggests and as they say, but it's still having some issues, good dealers are going to help you out there. And that's important for me, keep me rolling and keep me commuting. And I think all of this video, these tips are just to keep you rolling, keep us all commuting and keep this sport alive. So yeah, look, please get into E-Riders. Most of the gear that you've seen in my video today, the wheel, most of the protective gear, the lights, other accessories, the backpack, it's all available down at E-Riders. They're taking pre-orders on the Lynx, the V14 at the moment. So get in and get that down because they'll sell out again. Use my code BACK50, save $50, and that'll buy yourself some wet weather gear. Get yourself a raincoat. Yeah, just be safe, be warm, wear the right gear, have fun, you know, and enjoy that extra room on the footpaths when there's no people around. I'll see you guys next time for another video. I hope you're really good. Hope everything's great in your world, and yeah, keep rolling. Bye for now.